When I started my nonprofit, I started it because I was gonna kill myself, and it was a complete accident that I ended up with a nonprofit. I had a gun in my mouth, and I was calling every number in my phone, and I said, if someone doesn't answer, this is it. And of all bizarre things, I managed to make it past mom and dad, all the way to a guy who photographed me at a festival that I was modeling at. And he was like, well, how about we do some photography? And we did that for like the whole day. And I managed to get to his phone number. Of all phone numbers, he was the one person that answered. His name was John. And then put me in business development school. He moved me into his house for 2 weeks, and he put me into classes where they forced you to look at the community of people you know and the community of people you want to help, and figure out how to do that in whatever way you want to. It could be you want to help a bunch of old people do yoga. You're like 8 old people do yoga could be your goal. Well, mine was, I have all these burner friends. I've been a burner, I've been like working in events for forever. I'm a pyrotechnic performer and a fire performer. So like, I was like, I want to use all these cool ass people I know and have them help people get access and education surrounding healthcare and well-being. Specifically at the time when we started, it was all about access to and reintegration of psychedelic medicine. I have a psychology degree. All 4 of my parents have lost their youngest son, and it propelled me into psychology, mostly because there was no math classes anymore. Like, I'd already done all the math, but also because I watched ketamine therapy take care of the world's biggest case of depression they'd ever seen. I ended up throwing this party, but because I don't want to pay 15% to be fiscally sponsored by another nonprofit, I don't want to give the money to them. I was trying to give it to the psychedelic research nonprofit. And so me and my dad decided to just start our own. And we were just going to throw the one event, but it was so successful. And it was so amazing. It reached out to so many people that we decided, let's go ahead and keep doing this. I mean, we did all the paperwork and like jumped through all the holes and like, yeah. So, and that was back in 2018, and it has only grown from there. We're working on international events. We throw major advocacy events. And like, so with that said, so you know who I am, why I'm here. The speech that I have today is a speech because it was written by my whole team. I talked to my team and asked for their input, and was like, I first asked everyone to tell me why they would be still working for me after all these years through the pandemic, and no one's ever made $1. So I asked everybody to help me write it together. And so I have it here for you today. The only way I could, during the pandemic, since then we've been feeding and housing 140 families up in the Bay Area. We changed legislature in New Orleans such that during the pandemic, the people that were all homeless and all the homes that were empty because they're just Airbnbs that weren't getting used, like those people all got homed. Because we started off as access to psychedelic and other medicines that people like Western medicine may not always fix your problems. We started off with access to medicine, and when the pandemic hit, it was health and well-being for all, because that's always who I've been as a person. That's who I am. Also, I was wrongfully incarcerated, listed as an African-American person, and beaten. And so a lot of our focus is in the area of criminal justice. With the legal team, we're working with senators on legislation. In fact, we worked with one Senator Kumlager down in the Los Angeles area to change legislation that had overextended people's probationary periods so that they could remain in the recidivistic cycle. So as much as I throw like parties that look like this, a lot of the work that I do is behind the scenes, and it's using the fact that I've been through this thing. So I think that's why our mutual friend really wanted us to get introduced and work together, is because we both took our trauma and turned it into gold for everyone else. Medfund is not just believing in a vision for me. it's not just medicine for all, but access to whatever medicine each and every person needs. I say this despite having my own nonprofit, Medfund, Medicine Everyone Deserves, CEO and founder, based out of Long Beach, California, which you would think would instill a great self-esteem and self-confidence. This is the bad news part of my remarks today. If you're betting that becoming the CEO or executive director of an organization will heal your poor self-esteem issues, you're gonna lose to the house. Let me tell you about why Medfund became something I wished to realize in this world. And this is what I told you why I did it. This is why we did it. Like the group of people that are doing it with me, because there is no way I could have done this by myself at all. It starts with the obvious truth in the United States. Access to healthcare remains a luxury for many. It's a luxury I've had my entire life. It's no panacea. For even with great comprehensive health insurance coverage, a gift of my birth lottery win, I've still struggled with many of my own health issues. I've had many adverse encounters with healthcare service practitioners. I was taken to a hospital and given all dirty equipment, and yes, they kept me alive, but I had infections through my entire throat, my entire bladder, all the just the whole entire tubes, everything, liver, kidneys, all of it. And it's like, and that was because of bad healthcare. Like I can't even imagine what Val must have gone through in Costa Rica, because that was just right there in Long Beach, and it's just what they give to poor people. Because they thought I was poor, they didn't know I had health insurance. So even with great insurance, it ain't all good. Having great insurance isn't enough to ensure that people are properly cared for. And this realization throughout several separate events in my life made me horrified to think how things would have been so much worse. And you all heard it today. That's how. Had I had inadequate healthcare coverage or none at all, the dog bite that I went through, like I said, we were introduced because we were very similar. The dog bite that I went through went all the way from here through my lip. I still can't feel my face from here down. I was really grateful for you telling me the divine purpose of a dog biting you, because I also have been training service animals my whole life, never been bit, and my face got eaten by the dear friend that introduces us dog for no provocation whatsoever. I still can't feel my face from here down, and all the doctors that I've gone to see to fix that, even here, were like, you should just be happy you have a face. I was like, well, so you do have to laugh at it. Like, I mean, because I don't look that bad, man. Like, I was convinced, like, if you saw pictures, you would be horrified. But, you know, I got lucky by the birth lottery that I had this health care. Like, very, very fortunate. So I want to talk a little bit about healthcare services. They should be considered a fundamental human right. And I mean all humans, not just us here in America. I mean all humans. It's not just the moral thing to do, but it's an example of taking care of people, protects yourself, and is in your best interest. To give an example of why I say that, consider HIV and AIDS. The first full-blown case of AIDS was in San Francisco in 1981. It was an otherwise healthy, younger homosexual male. This means he likely contracted the virus in the mid-70s, because modern research actually indicates that HIV was in the US much earlier than previously thought. However, it was limited to primarily IV drug users, and when they died from drugs without any real diagnosis being done. So what happened in the 70s that would cause an epidemic to break out eventually worldwide? Well, we stopped any notion of taking care of drug users. In 1970, the Controlled Substances Act was passed as Nixon declared war on governments, and the states followed suit. Rehabilitation and reform was out, punishment was in. IV drug users wound up in prisons in droves, and thus began the mass incarceration crisis in the US that we still suffer from. And that's one of the things our nonprofit works very much to fight. Also in the 70s were quite a few anti-gay laws. The US and most states' governments, again through this time in the 60s, decided that homosexuality was a criminal behavior and so warranted prison time. And homosexuals began appearing in larger and larger numbers in the jails. And I know this is all really sad information, but it's stuff that has happened and continues to happen. When I was wrongfully incarcerated, I got to see just how little access there was to any healthcare. I mean, even the books had all the best parts ripped out because people wanted to keep them in their cells. Like, so we do even stuff like donating books. And anything I've seen in my life that's been a bad thing that's happened to me or a bad thing that I've seen, I try my best to create a program with that. We're like, Medicine Everyone Deserves is a gigantic conscious community. We have people working in China to help get people out that get trapped there for various visa reasons and whatnot. We've got people, also that same woman is teaching free music lessons for kids for positive coping skills because of a program we designed just to provide free access to positive coping skills worldwide to the children, because some of them kind of fell through the cracks during the pandemic. Everybody was having a hard time and the kids were very much lacking in access to all the stuff that makes being a kid so great. Basically, the end of that, I was gonna give you a lot more information, but it's really sad. And so, like, basically my point with telling you all that is getting the people in those prisons that had HIV and AIDS because of anti-gay laws that were wrongfully incarcerated. A lot of them died because of lack of access to medicine. And if they had gotten the medicine they needed, we could have stopped that global pandemic. And so that's one of the big focuses of my mission, is to make sure everyone has access to an education about whatever it is they personally need. Maybe you need yoga and Reiki. Maybe you need cancer treatments and Western medicine. Maybe you need to stop taking pills and try something else. Maybe you need marijuana. Maybe you need ketamine. And just knowing that it's available, I think, is incredibly important. And so that's kind of what we do. And so this is the fun part. This is what Medicine Everyone Deserves does in action, and why it's my vision for a better today and hope for an even better tomorrow. There's ideas left over to explore out of time. From my personal struggles to compassionate realizations, as a young adult facing various health challenges that shook me to the very core of my being, the physical and emotional toll it took on me made me really acutely aware of that significance of accessible health care. And these ignited this flame of compassion in me that I see spreading throughout the people that we all interact with. I'm gonna close really with, I'm not gonna tell you guys everything that we do. I'm gonna let you know if you wanna know more, because what we do really is connect communities worldwide. So if you have something you care about, something you wanna do, or something you wanna create to do something that lands under the umbrella of health and well-being for all, we're right there for you. And our website is www.medfundinc.org, like Medicine Everyone Deserves, MED, fund like funding people, inc like incorporated.org. And I really appreciate you guys listening to me talk today. It's nice to be here. I love to travel to help the world, and Vegas is a lot of fun. You guys are all beautiful, and I really love how beautiful the things that are happening here today. Watching all of this community connect in a place that I don't normally get to throw events is really beautiful. And I want to thank Val and Collective Community. How do I say your website, babe? Conscious Colectivo. I want to thank you for having me here today and for hosting me. I know, I do. I gotta get to the airport. I know. All right. Well, and also to my people on Medfund's website, thank you so much for watching. I wish you could have been here, and we'll be working on Sci-Fi 2023 soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.